Welcome back to Video Game Viddles, and today we are making the mushroom stew from A Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. First thing you want to do is you want to get some nice hot water, and you're going to take some of these dried porcini mushrooms here. As you see, look at that, porcini, dried. And you're going to soak them in this hot water. Now what this is going to do, this is going to extract the flavor from them. It's going to turn your water into a type of broth, and it's also going to rehydrate your mushrooms. Always a good thing to have rehydrated mushrooms when you're trying to make them into anything. Well, most anything. But just make sure they're all nice and soaked here, and then you're going to take this and you're going to place it off to the side for use later on, and everything. Yeah, there you go, off to the side. Now, the next thing you want to do is you're going to chop up an onion here, making a couple parallel slits, and then couple vertical slits, and that's what's going to help you chop your onion. Little tip: if you leave the root end on the onion, it will hold it together so your onion's not falling apart on you as you're cooking or cutting, as the case may be. And there you go, see that? Cut the little excess off there, don't want to waste any of that onion. And then with a little olive oil, you're going to saute these onions in the nice hot pot over about medium-high heat. Drop your onions in your warmed oil, and there you go. You're just going to let those saute as you get your next ingredients ready. And for that, we're going to mince up some garlic. Gotta have a little bit of garlic in your mushroom stew as well. Now, so I chopped this garlic to let you guys know that this stew comes from the witch that is up by where you get the magic powder. You find the mushroom in the woods near the master sword. You take it to her. She makes the magic powder, but she mentions that she's making a mushroom stew. So that's why we came up with the mushroom stew today. And the next thing you want to do is you're going to rough chop some zucchini and some yellow squash. Cut them in fours. And then I just proceed to give them a nice big chop. I like big chunks of stuff in my stew. Put those in with your onions, get the one that ran away, and there you go. It goes into the pot as well, and you just continue to saute all this stuff up into the pot together. Get the flavors all nice and mixed up. And then on to our next ingredient we have here. We're going to dice up some tomato. Just cut it into big chunks, and then same thing like you do everything else, nice big pieces here, and then those will also go into the pot, and you're going to saute that. These will eventually, you want these kind of big as well. They're going to break down a little bit, create a little bit of moisture in there, and that's okay. That's just extra flavor for your stew. We finished cutting them here, and then they'll go into the pot to be cooked with everything else. And then next we have our mushrooms. You see here I got some white button mushrooms, and I have some baby portobello mushrooms that will round out our mushroom trifecta for our mushroom stew. Take a nice dry towel, and you want to kind of just wipe these down as best as possible, getting all the little bits and pieces off there. If you rinse them in water, they tend to take on moisture, and that'll add some extra moisture to your stew, and it may not be what you want to do. So you just dry towel, kind of wipe them off. There you go. Real simple, real easy. And then you're going to chop these, same thing, nice big pieces to go into our bubbling pot that you see on the side there. And it's going to also break down. They'll shrink up a little bit, so don't be worried when you put it in the pot and you see that your pot is kind of full. As everything cooks and breaks down, the contents will get smaller, but it'll leave you with a nice hearty stew to eat later on. Next thing we're going to do is put them into the pot, like I said. And see here it's starting to come over, but that's alright. As it cooks down, it will reduce and you'll have plenty of room. So then we got some tarragon here. We're going to pick that off the stem, and yeah, see, just little slide of your fingers down the stem kind of gets all the pieces off. So we're going to pick ourselves some tarragon, and then onto our next herb afterwards will be some thyme. Same thing, you just kind of run your fingers along the stem and get all the little leaves and bits off there. A little time consuming, hot, but well worth it for the flavor that it will bring to your mushroom stew when you eat it later on. And once you finish getting all the time off there, just kind of take everything, give it a nice rough chop. Since it's going into a simmering pot of liquid and everything like that, it will break down, it'll wilt down, and you don't really have to worry about the size too much. And then a little bit of sherry, kind of give that acidic flavor, and then you always make sure that you get some fruit snacks for the baby after your wife asks, because it's very essential to creating the meal. Stir everything together, make sure everything's good. Take your porcinis, you're going to chop those up and into the pot here. A little salt and pepper, always got to flavor it. Boom. And then you add some of that broth that we made earlier, just enough to kind of cover everything. Now to go with that, we're going to make a risotto. We're going to chop some onion like we did earlier. Everything like that, because I like my stew to be on top of something. Half a cup of arborio rice into that once you sweated your onions a little bit. A little more of the sherry. And then your broth, just enough to cover it. And as you're cooking, you're going to continue to just barely cover it with the broth. Salt and pepper, of course. And then we'll thicken our thing with cornstarch. Whoops. And cornstarch and water mix slurry to help you kind of thicken that stew up a little bit. You can also use some tomato paste or reduce it down, taste it for flavor, and then add some more seasoning as you find necessary. Once your rice is tender, add a little bit of cream and mix it all together. A little pat of butter into the pot, mix it all together. And now for plating, take your nice plate, put your risotto right there in the center. Nice good hearty portion. I haven't eaten all day, so we're going to ladle this on top with a spoon. See here. And then for the all important taste test. Here we go. First bite. And wow, that was really good. I just came with this off the top of my head for this recipe, and boy, was it impressive. Going for another bite. It's kind of hot, so take your time, blow on it. Don't want to burn the roof of your mouth like I do most of the days. There you go. And that is it. Mushroom stew. Hope you enjoy.